started.
All right, who's here for the first time? All right, stand up, and then we'll come over to you. Start back here, tell us your name and your call sign and what city you live in.
Taylor Case, KK7Y.
All right, just recently got your call sign? What's the call again? KK7YAP. KK7Y. All right, let's give Tanner, right? Over here.
I'm Russ Weeks. I live out in Avon. Call sign is KK7ZGW.
KK7ZGW?
Yep.
Russ Weeks, KK7GZW. All right. Good. Anybody else here for the first time? Yeah, welcome.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I live in Manaway, KK7 ZFO.
Where's your brother?
Zulu, Foxtrot, Oscar. All right, Brandon?
Yep.
All right, let's welcome Brandon. That's a new call sign, right? Okay, can't keep track of all those new call signs as we keep spitting them out in the 7 call. Anybody else? I see another hand for the first time. All right, well, we're going to start with Dave has a quick announcement.
Morning. Some of you might have known Darwin Pitcher, and I can't remember his call sign. He died a couple of years ago. And
I got it. Oh,
I was helping clean out his estate, and back on the back table there is some stuff. There's a couple of TNCs and a couple of, I think, SWR meters and some odds and ends. Anyway, it's free, first come, first serve. I don't want to take any of it home, but I also don't want any fist fights. So if you need something, go ahead and take it. And
There's a dumpster downstairs.
Take it too.
all right, that's the table right behind the,
Not the club store.
all right.
Yeah.
Those two.
Yeah, the two.
I did a little experiment with the newsletter. If you read the newsletter, you found an Easter egg with a link to click to register for a drawing today. 6 people registered, read the newsletter, or at least registered after reading the newsletter, right? So I wanted to see if anybody read the newsletter because it takes a lot to put together. So anyway, we'll do it again sometime. So keep your eyes peeled, okay?
I think people did read the newsletter.
But not all of those put it in there. All right. So there were 6 people. I wrote them down. Tyler generated a random number. It is number 4, and that is Paul Pratt. Is Paul here? I didn't see him walk in. So Paul reads it. So Ken Lee, Dave Hodges, Joseph Longhurst, Paul Pratt, Brandon Tibbetts, and Chad Cook were the 6 that entered. So the contest. Paul will win one of the J-pole antennas. Okay? So he is, if it's the Paul I'm thinking of, he works as a helicopter pilot down in the Grand Canyon. Different Paul?
He's my neighbor.
Is he? Is he a former dentist? Am I thinking of somebody else?
Paul Harris.
Oh, I'm thinking of Paul Harris, so it's Paul Pratt. Okay. All right. Well, we'll send it with you. Okay? So either that or you just don't tell him. Maybe he's watching online. All right. At our Christmas party, we give out some awards, and this person wasn't able to be there because of other commitments, but we wanted to present that today. So we have the Spirit of Amateur Radio Award that goes to Mark Hoferitza. Did I get it?
You got it right.
All right, come on up, Mark. Let's give Mark a round of applause. AC7DN. Jordan Luke nominated him for the award. I'll tell you a little bit about Mark and stay up here. We got to get take a picture. You got to take a picture. Let's get out of the projectors thing. Got to have it for the newsletter. Maybe that'll be the question to answer next month.
Yeah.
All right. Jordan nominated Mark because of his recruitment and activity with getting others where he works and friends and associates to get their amateur radio license. I will tell you, we've had many from Space Dynamics Lab come to our test session where Mark has also been there as a VE. In addition, I first met Mark, I think it was during our COVID swap meet that we did down at the fairgrounds under the pig barn, because they wouldn't let us go to BTEC. And Mark came up where I had the club store and I saw SDL and I said, I need your help. And he said, for what? And I told him we were going to do a youth amateur radio project and I needed someone of his. I didn't even know him. Anyway, he said yes, and he showed up and was a big part of our success. So
And he's regretted it ever since.
I have not. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any announcements from the floor before we get going that anybody has? All right, I'm going to turn the time over to Tyler to go through our announcements. I'll go turn it down in the back.
Good luck. We couldn't figure out how to. Okay, we'll hold it down way down. It's not working. Is it on? No. Now it's working. Just a reminder, membership runs January through December, so if you haven't signed up, it's a good opportunity for you to do so now. We don't require you to be a member to show up to club meeting and participate, but it helps us pay the bills. 2025 club officers, we have Kevin as our president. I'm the vice president. Tammy is the secretary and she's not here today. Richard Elwood.
He's not here today.
Not here today. He's our treasurer. Then we have Spencer, Dadage, Dave Kavanaugh, Jordan Luke, he's not here. Joseph Longhurst, and Ted McArthur is our board. License exams, we have coming up on Saturday, April 26th at 3 p.m. If you go into that web link and RSVP, it'd be muchly appreciated. The reason we have a test session that day is we also have the upcoming one-day ham class. It's for the general class license, so maybe some of you should be interested in that. It's a good opportunity, but remember the one-day ham class, you can't just pass it by coming to the class. You need to do some pre-studying. We go over every question in the test pool and give you all the answers, so if you kind of a cram all at once. So it's a good opportunity. It starts at 8 a.m., goes till 3 p.m., and then we do the test session immediately following. Cache County Aries. You want me to talk about it, or you want to talk about it, Ted?
On March 18th is the Aries meeting. We're going to go over the what the county and we hope as many cities and groups are going to do for the April shakeout exercise. We encourage all church groups, city groups to participate. We'd like you to take your plans and try to implement them, start up maybe your block captain teams, whatever type of communications you normally set up. We also have a WinLink template we'd really love to receive and have you guys test it out. We really want to see how, if we get a lot of these cities all together, how much interference we're going to have. I mean, we have just a few frequencies out there that we operate on. Well, we have quite a few, but we want to make sure that people are not on the same frequencies as others. And until we actually test it, we won't know. So come to that meeting. We'll go more in depth on what we're going to do and how we're going to do that. Yes.
So which frequency are we referring to for this?
All of them.
Everyone that's available. So
White lots, I know it's three. Good for issues. 14497.
there's more than that, and we'll go over that in that meeting.
Then the Utah Department of Emergency Management Amateur Radio Volunteer HFNet is March 15th at 8 a.m. on HF 3920 kilohertz. You need to be a general class high or higher to join in on this net. And you need to register to check into the net. I mean, they'll take check-ins, but they'll nag you that you aren't a registered member, and they'll point you to that link there to go register with the Department of Emergency Management. Elmer Night is opportunity for new hams or anybody that needs help. It's kind of like a ham radio help desk. Elmer is a kind of a mentor, so we invite anybody that needs any help in ham radio. If you're new, you need help programming or anything like that, come and join in. If you want to come help people program, we need Elmers there too. So April 15th is a little ways out, but just a reminder. Our public service activities, the sign up is active and online on the BARC online website. We have a lot of activities coming up this year, so please go in and sign up. The first few were the Richmond Stampede and the crossover half marathon. They're coming up in May, so get signed up. They'll need your help. And there's the link to the public service activity sign up. So feel free to sign up where you can. If you're not sure, please sign up anyway, and then we can always cancel you later. We'd like to have a better idea of who's going to be there. We have stuff out there on Facebook when we remember to put it out there, but there's a lot of people that comment and ask for help and ask questions on the Facebook page. It's a good one to join. We have the BARC mailing list. That's where all of our announcements goes out. The links to all the recordings and everything we do. You need to be a member of that group. So if you aren't a member of groups.io, go there. Our new shed. So the club purchased a new container to replace our shed, our storage shed we had. We figure in the long run, this is going to save us quite a bit of money. It'll take us about 3 years to pay it off, but from what we were paying for rent, we had it last Saturday. We had a very large group. How many people were there, Kevin? Do you remember?
About 15, but if you helped, we didn't write everybody's name down and we don't want to miss somebody. So I sent out a link on the groups.io to go and make sure if you help that you go click the link and put your name and call sign. You'll be part of the grand prize drawing at the end of the year for a nice radio. So make sure you go and put your name on there. I think 12 to 15, but there was a lot.
We had 5, 6, 7 vehicles, and we only had to make one trip. We've loaded up everybody's vehicles, but we only had to make one trip, and it worked out very well. So
Saves us $1,300 a year
and we'll
by
probably
having
get
our own.
$200 of that back from this year because we got it done early and out of there. So start the slideshow. Okay, STEM fairs coming up March 13th at Cedar Ridge Elementary. If you live in the Cedar Ridge Elementary, you ought to probably volunteer and go and help them guys set up their STEM event for the kids. It's really fun. You teach the kids a lot. Well, you kind of do. A lot of them are there just to get their card signed and move on and try to win the prize. But well, I'm sure there's a lot of them. The times I've done it, there are kids there that are really interested in it. So we have youth activity, on the air activity, March 22nd at Logan Library at 1:30 p.m. They're going to be doing radio location, direction finding, bunny hunting, whatever you want to call it, for youth ages 8 to 18. Anybody under 16 should have a parent with them. But Jordan's got lined up some people that go out and do direction finding kind of for a living. with the like natural resources and stuff where they go out and track animals and stuff like that. So, and then they're going to do a bunny hunt afterwards. So it should be pretty good. Similar to the STEM fairs, but located up at USU, at the Eckel Science Learning Center. On Fridays, once a month at 7 p.m. The next one's March 21st. They're going to be doing kind of a STEM fair up there. You're willing to come up and help or just want to go up and see what's going on, bring your kids. Good opportunity. VHF Society Swap Meet is March 29th at the Western Sports Park, which is the same place as always been, the Legacy Event Center. Doors open at 8 a.m. for setup, and then selling begins at 9. If you're not a member of the VHF Society, it's $10 to get in. Otherwise, it's free, or you can go there and pay for your dues and get in for free. We have field day lined up for June 28th and 29th. We're going to try the Lewiston Fairgrounds this year. It will be a little more local for people. There will be on-site camping if you want to bring a trailer and stay the night, which we encourage because we want to try to operate all night long. But it's $10 per camper, per tent to come stay the night. But the rest of it's all free. We need helpers. Need lots of people help us set up antennas, do control ops, and just keep things organized. Then we have the Ladies Net. It's on the second and fourth Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on our repeater. The BARC VHF single sideband net, 144-200 upper sideband on Thursdays at 9 p.m. And the D-Star net on Sundays at 8 p.m. on reflector 029 Charlie. And that's changed a lot. It's a multi-mode. It's not exactly just D-Star anymore. There's a lot of different modes that can get into this on a reflector gateway thing we have running. You can get in on D-Star, you can get on P25, you can get on DMR, lots of different modes that they can get in. So we have people from all over checking in, not just our valley. One last announcement. Remember tomorrow morning, spring forward, change your clock. I have a clock that I don't have to change. It'll be right tomorrow. And change your batteries and your fire extinguishers. So any other announcements?
Question back on the Aries meeting preparation for the shakeout. Is that going to be just a video conference or is that in person?
It will be both. We'll be doing Zoom for that too. So we'll send out a Zoom link for that.
In person, is it here?
Yeah, in person is here. Anything else? Has everybody got a ticket in the coffee pot for a drawing today? If you haven't, Kevin's got some he's handing out. So, and I think that's all I got. We'll turn it over to Ted. What? No, I'm just a repeater committee.
While they're getting ready, I forgot now what I was going to say. There was something I had to say when I was back there, and now I can't remember. So anyway, we'll let them start. I'll just say one thing. I appreciate the repeater group and committee and all those who help. If you've been to the BARC Online website under repeaters and you look at the number of repeaters that this group takes care of, and they even assist other clubs with repeaters because they don't have the technical expertise. It's a huge undertaking.
Kevin's got it.
This.
Are you done?
Yep. Anyway, I appreciate what they do. Why don't we'll do the drawing right now. We got everybody, right? Are we waiting for one more? You good? Okay. All right. All right, Tyler. Don't look.
Do I pick mine?
Yes.
I can't get my hand in there.
Oh. All right, I picked it. KF7 DMJ, Glenn Young. Where's Glenn? Come back to the back and see me. You can pick out one of those antennas. All right.
Okay, I'm Ted McArthur. I'm the chairman of the repeater committee.
That's what I was.
This presentation is going to go over both some of the projects we're working on, what repeaters we have, what we help maintain, and then the end of it will be a lot of the infrastructure we also have for some of the activities. So I told you Bear 100, and Tyler will be going over that equipment and showing where we put some of this stuff and how we take care of it. The repeater committee is made up of anybody that wants to join. We put you on the groups.io list for that group, and if we're going to be doing some projects, we just let people know and they come and help. We had a work party about 3 weeks ago to put some of this equipment together. So we'll get started here. Why do we need repeaters? Well, line of sight, you guys all know when you're talking to somebody here in the valley on simplex, it only goes to certain distances, and you get a lot more the higher you are. You get a lot better coverage, and that's what these depict here. And the repeaters now, with what we have in our valley with our local repeater system, because of that, and also being able to link them, we can talk to people in Salt Lake, out to Windover, to Evanston, Kemmer, and so, which there's no way you'd get that coverage with even just your mobile. So essentially, this is how a repeater works. So you'll have two radios. You have a transmitter and a receiver. Sometimes they're in the same box, and we'll show that in a minute. A controller and duplexer and an antenna, and of course you have a power supply. So this guy's job is to allow the transmitter and the receiver to use the same antenna, and essentially it hides one from the other so that everything that needs to go to the receiver goes to the receiver, and everything that needs to go to the transmitter goes here, and it doesn't go into the other device. The controller does a bunch of things, and when we get there, I'll tell you what they can do. The antennas are not your $30 antennas. The one we have on Mount Logan, I believe, cost us close to $1,500. This is what we use on some of our link radios. Our link frequency is in the UHF band, and it ties the different repeater sites together. And this is called a folded dipole antenna. It's a really nice type. It can be directional, or you can kind of turn each one of these and make it omnidirectional, cardioid, or lots of different ways depending on how you turn them. They're really nice antennas, but kind of suffer on top of mountaintops because of some pictures I'll show you later. The coax, we use a lot of this type of coax. We call it hardline or heliax. Right now it's going for about $3 a foot. And if you're putting it in a 80 or 100 foot tower and inside the building, you're probably using 120 feet maybe, and so it gets expensive for that. And here's duplexers. This duplexer here, I'll show you one over here in a second. is called a UHF. It's a reject to make them for UHF and VHF. It's really good for a small portable repeater or a repeater that's not in a repeater site, because it doesn't help get out spurious emissions as much. It just does what it needs to do for that particular radio. This is a pass reject for VHF, and they stand about this high. And these are about 4 to 6 inches in diameter. And there could be even two more out here, be a 6 cavity. And this is the same type, but in the UHF region. So they get smaller. One of the things that make them bigger is how close the frequencies are apart for the transmit and receive. And because we've got such a small little portion of the 2 meter ham band, we can't be like commercial, and we can't put 4 or 5 megahertz apart, or we'd only have 2 or 3 repeater slots in our band. So we're using 600 kilohertz, so they have to get really big when you do that. Okay, right here, this is what a reject side, that's half of the one side. There's a receiver side and a transmitter side. So this is on the receiver side, so it's notching out the transmitter. So meaning it can't hear the transmitter. This one is about 60 to 80 dB less hearing on that, but when it gets up to the receiver side, it can hear it, and it's got almost only about 3 or 4 dB of loss there, and that's their job. And then on the other side, it's just the mirror image of that, and it would be notching out the receiver. This is a pass filter, and you can see that. See, it's kind of upside down from the other one, and it says at that frequency, that's the only thing I want to hear. I don't want to hear this stuff on each side of that. And a lot of times at a repeater site, we may need to do that, because not only does that help me not hear the rest of the stuff in the repeater site, when I transmit, it also says, don't let that stuff out. And so the other equipment in the site doesn't get affected by our equipment. This is a pass reject signal. So this is where like maybe the receiver is, and that would be where the transmitter is. And so, and then there's the opposite side doing the opposite thing, and then they go to one point that ties them together that goes to the antenna. You have 3 connections. You have a receiver connection, transmitter connection, and an antenna connection. And if you put on 2 separate antennas and put them up there, that's okay, except for you have to get them far enough away from each other they don't hear each other. And that can be quite a ways. On a tower, it could be, many like I think it's 3 or 4 wavelengths apart vertically, and if you go horizontal, it's even farther away. Some repeaters actually run wires. I believe the 6.2 in Salt Lake, the transmit and receivers are on different mountains. Okay, these are different ways to do repeaters. Some repeaters are all-in-one boxes. I've built several that just use some old radios that we were able to get for between $80 and $100. We get 2 radios. We use this controller, and then we got duplexers. This is actually the repeater on Pisgah for the intertie. Intertie makes us do a different way to run the link. This is the link frequency, and they actually do it duplex, meaning that frequency is transmitting and receiving both time, but it's not a repeater. So whatever it hears coming in, the receiver goes straight through this and on to the rest of the system, and the transmitter comes in and goes out. So they can talk through the whole system. If I turn it on as a repeater, it really messes things up, because then it hears the others and it starts getting in a loop, and it doesn't work. We don't run ours that way. We run our links just like you program your handheld radio to talk to the repeater, and it goes and talks to the other repeater. The only one that is on the link frequency as a repeater is on top of Mount Logan, and everyone else talks to every one of the other sites talks to Mount Logan, and Mount Logan rebroadcasts it so the other sites can hear it. Okay, controllers. What do? They do lots of stuff. This is the controller that we're going to put on Mount Logan. These are the 2 radios or repeaters we're going to put up there. We've disabled their internal controllers, and they're going to go through here. They're wired up and back. There's 4 cards in there, which we call ports. Every port can be a radio, and in the case of Wellsville, 2 of those ports are actually going to Raspberry Pi with cards on them to do All-Star and Raspberry Pi, because all I need to do is get a receive audio, transmit audio, what they call COR, carrier operated relay, and PTT, push to talk. Those are all electrical signals that go into it. This box will take the input, and it just receives the input, and you can tell the controller what to do with it. I can tell it to put it back out on the output, the transmitter side, and I made a repeater. I can say link it to the other card, and then now I've got a linked repeater system. And I have, so Mount Logan, we have a UHF repeater, we have a VHF repeater, we have an link repeater, and then we have a radio that does the auto patch. It sends the signals down to here in the sheriff's office and talks to a radio down here that receives and transmits the signal that it gets here, and this is where we get the phone line. Normally, it's down right now but we're working on with the sheriff's office trying to get the phone line working. Also in here, this is what does the IDs. So it has timers in there. So we make sure if somebody keys it up, starts a timer, and before 10 minutes, it's going to say, oh, time to ID. But if nobody's talking on it, luckily it says, I don't have to ID. we don't need the ID, so until somebody transmits again. The other thing, we have little programs in here, they call them macros. And we have schedulers and timers. That's how the beginning of the hour, it gives an ID of Mount Logan. It also has all these little voices buried inside this. Inside this one, it can talk to us. We have another one, well, like it's similar to this one, but it's a little bit dumber. It still does the IDs, but it only talks in Morse code. So it gives it a Morse code ID. You can also reprogram it or change things by doing DTMF codes or using your keypad, punching in a code, and I can make things change. And maybe I need to link or take off a link, or I want to know what the time is. It all goes through that DTMF controller. Then, just like here, they all have 3 different volume adjustments. One is the transmit audio, one's the receive audio, one is the internal audio for like the IDs and the voice messages, a CW ID, so you can match them. So hopefully you don't have one repeater that's really loud and one that's really quiet. So you have to match them, and you have to do that on each one of the ports. Say you had this controller could have up to 8 ports on it. We only have used 4, but so it can be kind of a nightmare to get them all matched so it doesn't, you're not constantly turning up and down the volume. This is the cable this is a 9-pin that goes to the back of the controller, and this is a normal Motorola cable to those radios you saw earlier, and that's all it requires between the controller and the radio to make it work. Okay, Charlie, you want to run that real quick? You have to move the map over to our area. Okay, so this is from our website. These red lines mean they're full-time linked. These 2 are temporary links. This is Mount Logan. And then there's some of our other repeaters, but that's kind of the map of what we have in our area to use. Okay, go back. It's the one next to it, number 2 tab. Number 2 tab. Okay, so Mount Logan has these on it. It has the VHF 146.72, UHF 149.625, the hub link repeater, auto patch, and there is a GMRS repeater that isn't really the club's, but we support it. The equipment we're going to upgrade are these right here. This controller, it's the same controller that's up there, but the one that's up there's been having some problems. So we're going to put this, reprogram it, put it up. This is the VHF repeater, and this is the UHF repeater. Before that, we had right now we have 2 separate radios up there. we're gonna upgrade to this style. Has a little bit more power, but we're not gonna use too much more power. But we're hoping to get a little better audio on the repeaters. Okay, click the antenna video and just play a few minutes around 5 minutes. Yeah, that shows you the top of the tower. And you can tell why it has so much coverage just by what you can see in and around the antenna tower. There's nothing blocking our signal for hundreds of miles.
We always need good tower climbers. Volunteer.
There's times that we have seen up there, I believe we've seen the Tetons, haven't we, from up there?
Yeah, good clear day.
On a good clear day, which is hard to find a clear enough day. But okay, that's good. Second tab, there you go. Okay, that is Mount Logan. That's on the way up there. That is the tower. That is Tyler. This is our last upgrade. I can't remember what year that was. It has to be 12 years ago at least. These two are the two things we're upgrading on Mount Logan. These two, I believe, are the two that went to Red Spur. Either that or it was just these two. This is the Red Spur controller. This is the Mount Logan repeater. So I believe at the top, it's either the link, the top two are the link and the auto patch. This one is UHF, this is VHF, this is the power supply. The power supply is made up of 3 smaller 20, I believe each one's 20 amp power supplies. And if one fails, we only need 2 of them. And if one fails, it won't just go down. It will stay running.
Point out the cavities there for each of those.
Right there. So this is right next to it. This is the cavity for the VHF. This is the UHF cavity. If I go back here, there's a cavity for the auto patch and a cavity for the link radios. This is the new antenna we put in about, 3 or 4 years ago.
How tall is that total?
23, 24 feet. I wish I had a picture of what I had to do to my truck to get it up there. I had to build duct tape a piece of 2x4 on the front bumper, my cow catcher on the front, and then tape the front of the antenna on there, and then went across to strapped it to the top of my camper shell, and it stuck. It's longer than my truck is, and I think I'm not sure. I think that's me and Brandon up there putting that in. So in the wintertime, this isn't us. This was one of our club members, Jeff Stork, pictures. But this is Mount Logan in the wintertime. That's the preferred method of travel in the wintertime. That's the front of the building. This is called rime ice. And this is what somebody's antenna looks like. It gets too heavy and it snaps the fiberglass and the antenna breaks. That's the back door. I'm not sure why they didn't go through that one instead of the front one. It just,
I always envisioned Mount Logan as the top of the mountain. It's always blowing up there and there's nothing on top because it all blows off. Apparently not.
okay, this one is our promontory site. Now, we don't have any projects scheduled for there. It is the VHF repeater 14726, and it's also has a UHF link and is linked there full time. This is out on the top of the mountain on the promontory point. Don't see it here really well, but that's the backside of the Great Salt Lake. And takes a long time to get there. We can only go there certain times a year because the landowner is a sheep herder, and if the lambs are lambing, we're not allowed on the property. And this is I don't know what they're called now.
Enbridge?
Enbridge. It's started out as Questar, then it was
Started out Mountain Fuel,
Rock.
then
Yeah,
Questar.
This Bill Neville used to work for them and got us this site. We used to pay $600 a year, and now they just let us in there. If you notice what's back there, that's the Jolly Green Giants golf ball. That's one of the radar sites. It's just about a mile away from us.
You
National.
have to have a licensed and bonded tower climber for that site. But we have never replaced that antenna since it went up in the 90s, correct, Ted?
Nope.
Right.
Yeah.
So
We were
that,
supposed to pay $400 for that when the antenna went up. Somebody paid it, the club never saw the bill. I don't know who paid it, but somebody did.
So this is the equipment there. There's the duplexer. That's a Vertex 7000 repeater. This is the link radio and the power supply for the link radio. This one has a AC plug in it. This box up here, that's a filter we bought about 5 or 6 years ago. When we would do the nets, everybody on the 2.6 would complain about this noise, and you get this, and then it couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And one day I was listening to the DMR that we put, DMR radio that is on that mountain, got put over there after Bill Neville died. They moved it up to Promontory Point in another site, just a couple hundred yards away. And it had an ID on it. Every time it would ID, it would get into the link frequency into this radio and cause a bad noise on its link receiver. So we had a company design and build a specialized filter for us to do this. It notched out the transmit and receive link frequencies, which they're about, I believe they're about 15 or 13 megahertz apart, something like that. And so I wanted to pass all that, but reject everything else. And I was scared that it wouldn't work, but it worked because we paid $700 for the filter, but it took care of the problem and it's gone away. And that's what it looks like when it's all cleaned up. One of the cleanest sites that we go to. This is the other site that is in our fully linked system, Red Spur. These both, all these sites, Red Spur and Wellsville, were sites that Bill Neville had purchased back in the early 90s, late 80s. And before he passed away, he sold them to a company called Ambient Communications, with the stipulation that we still get the hams, our club still gets to use Wellsville and Red Spur. So one of the things we need to do here is we have an RF Wi-Fi link between Wellsville and this site. These two sites can see each other. They're about 30 miles apart. And it used to be the backup telephone system with, what's the name of that company?
AT&T.
No, it was
Western Union.
Western Union. During the Cold War, that was the backup. And anyway, we need to make some router adjustments because to put it in, forgot the password, and we want to be able to turn things on and off with a relay card, and I got to get the right IP ports opened to make that happen. But that's essentially all we got to do there. A few years ago, let me go back. Before, this was our only solar panels. They were pretty small. They were 30 years old. And in the wintertime, they'd go out. They weren't getting enough power, either because the snow would pile up and block them, or they were just not big enough. So the club, since we get free rent, we told them, and we are the only, there is one other repeater in there that owns by the owners, and they rent it out to companies to use their repeater, but they have no customers over there. So we are really the only ones in this site. So we said we would put the solar panels up. So a group of us went up there and put up these solar panels, and it's since the first year they went out because we had the snow pulling on some of the cables and they unplugged one of them. We went up and fixed that, and it's been, 2 winters now, and they have never lost power since then. This is the equipment in there. This is the link radio. These are 2 make up the repeater, and that's the RCOM. Tell me what these are.
The one on the left is the APRS digipeater.
So one's the APR digipeater on the left, and
The one on the right's the WinLink gateway.
the other one's a WinLink gateway. It's done here with the Raspberry Pi. This is an older picture. Now we do it with a PC, Windows, small little single board Windows PC. This is a picture of the back from right now where we're taking this picture. We're in Rich County, but the site's in Cache County. The county line is right here. Okay, this is the Smithfield site, which a lot of people might remember as what do we call it? No, it was when it was at Bill's house, we called it the
The Willow Park.
Willow Park repeater. we moved all this equipment mainly to get internet to the Smithfield Fire. And one of the projects we've been working on is shares and WinLink HF gateway we want to put into this site. We have the antenna, we have all the radios, we just need to get over there, put the antenna up. We have to install some antennas for us to do this, and we have to, Smithfield Fire, or Smithfield City EOC wants a couple more radios in, got to put some antennas and put in some coax there. So we're going to get that done this year. All this equipment used to be at Bill Neville's house, right by Willow Park or across from the fairgrounds. And it was in 2 full-size racks. And when we got to Smithfield, the only place we could put it was above the stairway in the ceiling. So we had to change it to only be about 2 feet tall. And so this is what we came up with. This is all the D-Star equipment, and this is the power supply for that. This is the D-Star gateway. It's the computer that sends the D-Star stuff to the internet. This is the main power supply for all the rest of the radios. This is a UHF duplexer for one of these radios. Over here, this is one of those repeaters that we run with that controller, and that is the 147-200 repeater. And then there are 2 Raspberry Pis in here. One of them does IRLP Echolink, and the other one does All-Star, which are 2 digital modes that you can run directly with an analog radio. And that's us installing that upstairs. You can see there's not much room. That's what it looks like up there. It's really tight. This is the HF gateway. We just haven't got an antenna on it yet. And that's to do HF WinLink. And it's not really for us. It's for the ham community, because we're not normally going to connect to it, but other people in the world will connect to it. And people 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 miles away will connect into it once we get it up. Okay, this is where those big duplexers had to go. That's the top, and they had to go sideways, and they're laying in the back. We had to take out ceiling tile, move it over all this electrical connections. It was a lot of work, and it was very dusty, dirty. And then, I forget who this is, but we had to put an antenna on the roof, and so we were at Smithfield Fire, says, can we get your ladder truck and let us on the roof? And they did, so. All right, now this is not our repeater, but we built it for them and essentially maintain it. It has a UHF repeater, a VHF repeater, so UHF is 146.80. The VHF is 449.375. And then years and years ago, Bill put in a link radio to our system, and so we can link it to Mount Logan. And we do that every Tuesday night. And we are going to put a GMRS repeater. The problem is, at this site here, this used to be a lookout station, and it's owned by the state of Idaho. And the state of Idaho is run by their their National Guard. And they have told them that either you start paying about a $5,000 a year rent or you're out. So they're out. So we're going to move that site to another site that's probably about half a mile north of this site on the same mountain. And so we have to do that this year. They may be upgrading to new radios. They're still, I haven't heard back from them yet if they want us to put in new radios or just take this equipment up there and get it going. But none of this work can be done until we can drive up there. This is the UHF repeater that we built for the UHF. And there's the duplexer on the back. So this is what we replaced. This was called a GE Master 2, and it was not working well. So we went up and put what in the previous slides I showed you. They burned up their repeater many years ago, and Bill and I put together this group of radios for their VHF radio, and then their UHF went out, so Warren asked us to get them a UHF one going, and so we drove up there and got this working for them. And that's what it looks like all put together and back in. This is the link radio. That's all it really takes, is just a little mobile radio tied into the controller so that you can make a link back to Mount Logan. So there's a closer view of that when it was done. And those are the hoodlums that put it in. Okay, this site is not linked to our system. It's a standalone for our repeater. This is a tape repeater here. It's 449.8. Hardly anybody uses it, but it's open to be used if you want to get on have a conversation and you don't really want everybody here. Not too many people are listening to it. It also can, if you have a real expensive radio that will do P25, this one will do P25, which is a digital mode. It's a dual mode. If you hit it with a analog system, it will run analog. If you hit it with P25, it'll be P25. And this was put in many years ago. It is used. There's some city stations that have it in their list that's the repeater they would use. This is the site. It's actually the TV station translator up on Mount Pisgah. And one of our antennas is here. I'm not sure what the other ones are up there, but we also have a mesh node up there that I'm hoping to get more people to try to use. We may go put different antennas on it, see if we can get it better. And this again is the intertie link. This is the UHF intertie link, and this is the UHF link that goes to Snowbird. And there's Bill Neville. Here's that repeater, and here's the 80 repeater right there. This is kind of, I guess, one of the only sites that we kind of own outright, or I don't know if we really own it, but we're allowed on here. This is our building. We put that building on there. It has a D-Star repeater on it. It's, Bill Neville was creative with the call sign. So years ago, they had a group they called the Northern Utah Technical Society. Wellsville, it's called NU7TS, or NUTS, Northern Utah Technical Society. This site's call sign he got was NERDS. He says that is Northern Repeater Digital System or something like that, but you all know what NERDS means. So it has the gateway. All the D-Star repeaters have gateways, at least the ones we own. The rest of the state is having trouble getting gateways in. It has a DMR repeater, and it has a GMRS repeater. I forgot to say that Pisgah also has DMR. It has a DMR repeater in it also. Where we lost our internet connection there, so for a while I was using my Starlink. I now have a T-Mobile cell modem there, and it's working, but I also have problems with being able to port forward, and we're working on that problem, which it doesn't. The only one it causes the problem with is D-Star, but the Tyler's Gateway and stuff over there works fine through it, and the DMR works fine through it. But there's a lot of port forwarding for D-Star, and with the T-Mobile, I don't get an external IP address. It goes into the T-Mobile system, and I can't port forward through it. So we're going to build a VPN to solve that problem. And here's what we got to fix. We put up a lot of these antennas about 2 years ago, and we used zip ties to strap it to these two coaxes that were already there, and all the zip ties snapped. And there's also a cable that it runs in, and Tyler and I went up there and refixed all those. They were on the ground too, but we couldn't get up the tower. Those of you who know the Chance Getz, where he works, has a boom lift, and we have to get it over there and get up there, and we'll have to secure these coaxes better. We got 3 antennas on top. This is a National Guard antenna, so we'll get all that fixed. These two towers are the ones that we put up, and they're on our site. And then there's that same telephone pole with that stuff on it. And that's over in Riverside. Right as you get off the freeway, if you look up on the hill about, I don't know, it's up about a quarter of the way. It's not very far from the road. It's where that site is. This is an explosive magazine that I got from my previous employer. And it has 1/4-inch steel on the outside and 5 layers of 3/4-inch plywood on the inside. It's meant to help stop people from shooting it, because I used to work for an explosive company and didn't want people shooting your magazines that had explosives in it. So this will protect our equipment really well. These are the antennas. We have a GMRS over there, DMR, and D-Star on this one. And I believe that one there is the DMR. This is the inside. This was an older picture, but it still has these 3 racks. This is the DMR repeater. This was our old, it was an old repeater, but I don't remember what it was. Right now, that site pretty much only has digital equipment besides, well, DMR's digital, D-Star's digital, and then it's got, what does it have for APRS? and WinLink?
APRS, it doesn't have WinLink there anymore.
Okay, so it has an APRS Gateway Digi. Like I said, these are old. It's been cleaned up quite a bit since then.
Ditch Peter, we took it out.
Okay, this is our Wellsville site. Like I said, this one and the one at Red Spur can see each other. And if you come out of the canyon, Wellsville Canyon, and look straight up Blacksmith Fork Canyon, in the far distance, you'll see this little red peak, and that is Red Spur. And that's what this looks at. When you're going out the canyon, if you look up to the north, when you get to those homes that are right in the mouth of the canyon, you look on the hill and you see that little radio site. That is this one here. They've had a couple problems. This tower used to be twice as tall. It fell down, so they put up this tower, and last year that tower fell down. So we have the D-Star repeater NU7TS, the D-Star Gateway NU7TS, and then the only thing we got to do there is work on that router to Red Spur. This is the inside. This is the D-Star rack. 44980 used to be here. It's now on Pisgah. This is the old gateway that used to be there. And this is what it looked like before this part tipped over. That upper stuff is a FM broadcast station. There's Bob Wood. Now you can see the DMR. This DMR also got moved to Pisgah, or Piskey. And we also added a 1.2 gigahertz D-Star repeater. Okay, some of the other jobs we're doing is here at the sheriff's office. The emergency manager just bought an Anytone 578 so that we can do some GMRS and some public surface radios. And we have to put that in and put coax and new antenna up for that. I'm not sure if that's me or Cordell working on that tower when we were doing the HF, I believe. Okay, Tyler, I'll go ahead and let you do these. This is some of the digis that we put in. Tyler's our guy for digis and gateways. And then it will go into the infrastructure we do for some of the events.
Need your microphone.
Oh, you already went.
Yeah, but this one.
Sorry. I only care about one of them.
Yeah, no. Okay, so we put in, it's our equipment, but it's not our site over at Montpelier. There's an APRS digipeater over there. It needs some work, but it doesn't work really great. It does cover that valley over there fairly decently, but like I said, when we're doing Latoja, we usually put something else over there to back it up because it doesn't work really great. Lake Town, over there at their TV translator site, we also have a digipeater. It's kind of owned by the National Weather Service, but we kind of maintain it for them. But since they had all their antennas and everything go down, it doesn't work as great as it used to, so we probably need to get back to that site and do a little bit on it, but it does hear the Bear Lake Valley pretty decently. Not great, but it does work. That's another picture of it. I think this is a picture after most of the antennas came down from the translators. Most of them are back up and working digital now, so there's not only about half as many antennas over there at Lake Town. This, I think, is Lake Town too, trying to get into the equipment. It's a little teeny building and there's a lot of equipment in there, so it's kind of fun to work on, but it's a little bit tight in there. And I've never seen it, but Eldon Curl always tells us that there's always a rattlesnake up there sitting on the doorstep waiting for him, so I've never seen him. This is Black Mountain, it's really in Idaho, but it looks down into Star Valley into Wyoming. There's a repeater on there that we use for Latoja, an APRS digipeater on that site that we use for Latoja. It works pretty good up there. We need to get up and repair the antenna, but it works fairly decently, covers that area. It gets into gateways in Idaho, and I have a gateway at my daughter's down in Afton that it gets to. This and Sedgwick see each other really good, so they talk APRS-wise really good up there too. This is when we were working on the digipeater up there in their site. It's just kind of like this one here. It's just in a box up there, and hopefully someday we'll get a new repeater up there. This is one of the repeaters we use for portable use, mostly Latoja, but anytime we use it. So it's like this one there. This one I think here is the 440 one we had. Can't see for sure. But all it has is 2 radios, and then it has a link radio. We don't use the link on the portable repeaters very often, but we kind of found that maybe we could use that in an emergency if we needed to put up portable repeaters. This is kind of a picture of the portable repeater. I think this one was when we were putting, oh, that's Black Mountain? Oh yeah, it is. Black Mountain, we put a portable portable repeater on Black Mountain for Latoja. We put it on Black Mountain because it looks up Snake River Canyon pretty good. We get coverage about halfway up the canyon. It's not really great, but it works fairly decently.
So that first picture, or the next one shows it too, how far away from Black Mountain we are.
Yeah, we used to put this repeater right at the repeater site, but there's so much RF on top of that mountain. I mean, there's a little bit of everything. There's public service, there's radio, FM radio.
Paging.
Yeah, paging, everything, that we had so much problem keeping the radio working or even getting it to work that we decided we would move it away from the repeater site. We tried taking it down over the hill there and running lots of coax back up the top of the mountain, but that was a lot of work. So it works where we put it here, kind of a long ways away from the repeater site. It's all solar panel. We have a pretty good sized bank of batteries we put up last year. We bought some lithium-ion batteries, which are nicer for hauling around when you're moving up there, and they last a lot longer too. That's the antenna stuck up in a tree so that it's kind of hidden, but not really. Not a lot of people can get up there. They have a gate that's usually locked, but there's still a lot of hunters that get up there. I don't think they'd mess with it, but you never know. but we just strap it to the same tree every year. If the tree ever dies, we're in trouble. There's Ted kind of making sure we got all of our connections going. This is Teton Mountain Resort up the top where they have their restaurant. We put a APRS digipeater up there that covers the valley. Our friend that helps us up there, he has a digipeater gateway at his house, but it's clear out by the airport, so it doesn't cover the valley really great. But we use his gateway to get the APRS back to the rest of the system. So we go up there, we have permission, we ride the tram up.
Oh, come on, you were supposed to tell me we hike up there.
Oh, yeah, we hike up there. Yeah. Yeah, we hike all the way up there. Set up the antenna and a digipeater. We used to put a repeater up there, but we kind of went away from that and used one that's over on Snow King now. The one that's usually up on the top of the tram, the Grand Tetons up there, he always shuts it off when we show up. Kind of butting heads up there with him all the time, so we just ignore him. So we use our own system. This is Scott and Ted. We're setting up the digipeater, getting things ready and set up there. The little deck they have out there works really nice for setting up antennas on. This is a multi-use repeater system we use at Astoria Hot Springs. We have power at Astoria Hot Springs, and we have Wi-Fi availability at Astoria Hot Springs. So we set up a repeater there and an APRS gateway digipeater there. And then this system has All-Star hooked to it. So back at Net Control in Jackson Hole, or wherever we set up, usually in Jackson, we can talk to this repeater on All-Star. Because sometimes we can get over that little bit of a mountain there to this spot on RF, but it makes it really nice to have All-Star as a backup. Some years we've used all RF, sometimes we've used All-Star, so.
We never know where net control is going to be housed from year to year at load adjustments.
Yeah.
Usually never the same place.
The Latoja organizer, he just gets what he can get for us. He knows what we like, but it's not always what he can get. So he gets us some kind of a condo up there by Teton Village, so we can run net control there and we can put as many people as we can in there. So the more people we get in there, the less rooms he has to buy too. This is Salt River Pass. We used to have a digipeater on Salt River Pass as you're coming up out of Star Valley, out of Afton there, and back down. They tore that site down 5-6 years ago, and they moved their repeaters all further east, kind of southeast from there. And the digipeater, or there is the repeater that was at this site, did get moved to that site, but we didn't get the APRS moved over there in time. And that's what it kind of used to look like up there.
Real nice site.
Really nice and clean in there. Keep the mice away from everything. I think this is Salt River Pass.
Oh, this is Temple.
Oh, this is
Oh,
Temple.
no, it's Salt River.
That's Salt River. This is Salt River. We put a
Digipeater.
portable digipeater up there for Latoja. Strap it to a tree or whatever we can find. And in fact, this is usually the digipeater we use right here. And then with some solar panels and batteries, it runs flawlessly up there. There's the box there, batteries with rust. They just set it up, turn it on, and it works pretty good. Solar panels, whatever we have for solar panels, we have quite a few different kind. This is Hellhole. It's up above Montpelier Mountain, up to the west or to the east of Montpelier, up on top of the mountain there. We put a repeater up there and a digipeater up there, because like I said, the digipeater in Montpelier doesn't work really great. But we put this one here. It covers that canyon, Montpelier Canyon, and up the pass towards Salt River Pass. It covers pretty good up through there. And the repeater, the same thing.
Tell them what we do in Montpelier for the race.
Oh yeah, and in Montpelier we set up this one. This is a APRS gateway digipeater that we can set, because like we said, APRS does get out of Montpelier, but not really great, so we want to make sure. We use APRS during Latoja a lot. We want to make sure we know where everybody is all the time. One example is I was running net control over at Afton, and somebody called in an accident, and they told us where it was at, and we called 911, and then 911 calls us back and says, there's no accident here. And they were saying it was down to that road that goes over to
Freedom.
Over to Freedom. They said at Freedom Road. Well, that's what everybody assumed. Well, after we got talking for quite a while, I turned around, finally looked at the APRS map, and they weren't even to Afton yet. So we're kind of in the wrong jurisdiction, but if we'd been paying a little closer attention to that map, we wouldn't have had the big foobah with 911. Some of the fun pictures of setting this up, finding in a pole or a fence pole or whatever we can to strap it to. During the Bear 100, we've started this last year, we used an RFID for the start and the finish line to help track the runners. We'll hopefully eventually get more RFID along the way to track the runners, but because it's a lot of work to that many runners to log them in and log them out. So this one was up at the top of Cliffside up there. And then we moved this one to the finish line after everybody got through. This is Beaver Mountain. We put an APRS digipeater up here. I think it's off the air right now.
Gateway.
But we put a gateway. This gateway here usually is the WinLink gateway that goes up there. It's a portable gateway. So when we're doing the Bear 100, we can turn data in. We also have Brandon Tibbetts has one he puts up on Temple Peak. That's all portable. This one here, at least we have power. We have an antenna already on the tower, so we're pretty easy to go. It's solar powered up there, so we usually don't worry about power up there. That's what it looks like. Except the inside will change a little bit on this
One
one.
of the guys from.
I'm using
UCA.
Kenwood D710, so I can use APRS on, or WinLink on VHF packet and VHF or UHF VARA. So this is Brandon's gateway that he puts up on Temple Peak. It's just up there running on batteries on a pole with the antenna way up high. We did have a few problems last year. It got a little warm. It was a warmer year. So we went up there and opened the case and let it circulate a little more. When we went back up there, somebody found the case and tried to help us out and closed it back up. So it's pretty much sets right on top of Temple Peak, right up there. So.
Not too many people can get up there.
Yeah, it's kind of a rough road to get to. Ted did it once in his truck, and I think he regretted it.
I've done it 3 times.
Yeah. This is the gateway I have running over at Afton. It's a iGate Mini. It's a receive only, unfortunately, but hopefully this year I'm going to replace that with a full-fledged gateway that's bi-directional, so it can really do the good part for APRS, but at least it gets traffic going through Star Valley. Between this and the digipeater on Black Mountain, you can at least see what's going on up there. Not a whole lot of people go through that valley with APRS, but a few. This is one of the digipeaters I have set up. Brandon has something too that he's been using. In Snake River Canyon, we set up some portable digipeaters along the way so we can get APRS out of that canyon, because we need to know where people are. We need to know where the tail of the race is or the front of the race. So we do a lot of setting up portable stuff along Snake River Canyon. Is that the end?
Yeah.
That's the end.
So, part of what we So part of what we've been working on for these portables is right now, both portables are this big. They're very heavy. They're not balanced well. You carry them and they want to flip over. This, because of on 2 meters, remember I showed you those big duplexers, we went to this duplexer and we used the output of Red Spur and the output of Promontory as the frequencies for this duplexer, and that's called the wide split. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but they are the actual output frequencies of both those other repeaters. That way we didn't have to coordinate it with the Utah coordination because we already had those frequencies. And it's 3.15 megahertz apart, and that's why I could fit this size duplexer in there. But we started talking last year at Latoja that we ought to build, we got all this equipment and it's all these little pieces. And what we wanted to do was use a case about this size, and we would put in a UHF repeater and the digital stuff, the APRS WinLink or APRS or WinLink gateways or whatever, and then we can just take the box up there, set it down. We can use a little combiner to go to one antenna. Now we're setting up 2 separate antennas and go up there and set it up and make it easier, lighter weight, and get these up a lot easier for all these events we go to, and they would be good for both the Bear 100, Latoja, a lot of these races in the valley when they need I forget the Grand Fondo. We have to put up extra repeaters for those races because we have areas with no coverage. So that's what our plans are for this year, is to get these moved over. We'll convert both of these to the public service UTAC and VTAC repeaters. And that will be part of the ARES plan to help with interoperability, and which could be switched back to something else if we need it. But that's the plans for that project. So that's about all I have. If anybody wants to come up and ask questions about these repeaters and this equipment or these digis, Tyler and I will be around here, and you can ask questions about what this is and anything you want to say, Kevin.
As you can see, the club has a lot of gear. We've accumulated over the years. Those of you who helped on the storage move, raise your hand. How much gear did we have? Too much. We got a lot of duplexes and stuff that have fallen into our laps because of relationships. We are on these mountaintops and continue to be able to be on these mountaintops because of relationships that Ted has fostered and others on the repeater committee. As you can see, we got a lot of equipment on mountaintops compared to other clubs. Go look at any other club in the state of Utah, and they don't have the number of repeaters that we do and maintain, or digipeaters or gateways or portable stuff. Now, all this stuff hasn't happened overnight. It's happened over the course of many years. And with like Latoja, the Bear 100, just continuing to try to improve our communications things. So anyway, let's give Ted and Tyler a round of applause and our repeater committee. Again, if you want to be part of it, just talk to Ted and come on out and learn. You have to learn and just help. Sometimes we just need people to, carry and put together and get it ready type of stuff. You don't need to be a repeater expert, but you can learn. There's a lot to it. All right, anything from the floor before we close? All right, my truck downstairs in the parking lot is a white Ford F-150 with a black stripe. It's got my call sign N7RXE on the back plate. If you open the tailgate, there are some 35 amp hour batteries that they're used. They came out of alarm systems as backup that are rotated every few years. Some of them say 2022. I've seen some that say 2023. There's some 35 amp hour AGMs, and there's also some, I think they're 18 amp hours, 17 amp hours in there. You may help yourself, okay? I wasn't gonna lug them up here. Anyway, thanks to Burl, we've got treats in the back, and then we have the closed store. And I'll be back at the closed store to help if there's anything you want. We have plenty of those antennas. If you're looking for a J-pole antenna, we've got some of those as well. Thanks for coming.